guys, welcome to Nightmare Stories of the Paranormal. Sorry, I messed it up. Can we unrecord
Start
that?
over.
Hold
I
on.
I will cut that out.
Okay. We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. Three,
Nightmare Stories of
uh,
the Other Side, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Hey, we gotta have a blooper reel. Saves
Okay,
time for
so
everything.
ready? Three, two, one.
Hi, welcome to Nightmare Stories of the Other Side. I'm your host, Jada Sellers, and I'm being accompanied by my co-hosts, Courtney and Matthew. Matthew gave me the opportunity to pick whatever topic I wanted to talk about, so tonight our topic is cryptids. Does anyone have any notes they want to start us off with?
You have all the notes. I don't have any notes.
Okay.
I have thoughts.
Okay, you have thoughts, you have notes, I have nothing.
I've watched a lot of cryptid shows, so I think there's some things we could talk about as long as you get the idea started.
Okay. So the first one that I want to talk about is probably the one that everybody knows about. So does someone want to get us started on Bigfoot?
Sure. You got any
Courtney?
questions? Oh, I'll tell you, my dad's obsessed with Bigfoot. Every time I go to like I don't know, like a craft place where they have like the Bigfoot signs, I always get him a Bigfoot sign for the backyard.
Nice.
We're just kind of fascinated with Bigfoot in our family. I don't know, I guess if you want to do like a topic of like proof, I would say that one Bigfoot video from I think like the 70s is pretty compelling for me. And it has been for a lot of people. It was like one of the first Bigfoot proof videos, and then there's some newer ones that have come out. I'm not sure if you're aware of, but pretty crazy stuff. Like, I don't know how to explain it. There was one where this lady was in her backyard and she was like, "Ah, what's that?" And you could literally see like a Bigfoot-like creature walk through the woods in her backyard, and her dogs are like barking. And mind you, this is like a modern day video on like a cell phone, which there isn't many of. So it was pretty crazy. I don't know how to explain that. I guess it, you always have the thought like it could be fake, but like it looked very realistic in the video and it was real far away. But the fact that her dogs and like everything was like reacting to it kind of. So I just thought it was a pretty genuine video. It was pretty terrifying to me, but yeah, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I do believe in Bigfoot, but I feel like there's more to it. I feel like it's not like other cryptids where it's just like hasn't been discovered. I feel like it's maybe partly paranormal or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure how I feel, but I know something's up because that big giant creature ain't just like in the woods somewhere and nobody found it yet.
Yeah, I think it was back in,
There's no way.
was it summer of 2023, I think it was. So Natalie and my cousin Jake, we were up in northern Minnesota slash Michigan. We went up to Isle Royale National Park, and the only way to get to this park is either by boat or plane because it's like out in the middle of Lake Superior. So it's an island, and there's a ton of little islands around it. Well, I was taking pictures and like zooming in on an island, and when I get back, it's like I'm pretty like 90% sure that I caught a Bigfoot on camera. Because like if you look in
Nuh-uh.
towards the island, you can see this giant figure walking along the shoreline, and this island's uninhabited.
That's crazy.
I'll have to see if I can find the picture and show you guys, but it was just like
Yeah, you should probably like send that to some place so they can put it on like one of those
right.
shows.
I was like looking back on it,
What?
I'm like, what in the heck is that? It's like
Yeah,
just
that's
the
something
full
else.
figure, everything, like
You
in
should
the
send
full.
it to me so I can send it to my dad because he would love that.
It was like full stride. It's like that was crazy.
Get so excited. Yeah. Yeah, he watches all the shows. Something weird
So,
about it. I don't know.
so you were saying that you don't exactly know what Bigfoot is, how it could be something just paranormal. Have you guys heard of the theory that Bigfoot's actually an alien?
I have
No,
not heard that one.
I have not, but I don't know about that either. But it could be an alien species, I guess. I mean, we think of aliens as these like gray-headed
Yeah.
creatures, big eyes, but like, I mean, do we even know that? Not really. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a theory. I mean, maybe some sightings, but like, think about it. If there's like truly aliens out there, couldn't there be like a whole ton different species?
Oh,
Exactly.
for sure.
I mean,
See,
I don't know how else to explain that. It's odd to me. Something's up.
I'm not heavily educated on the subject, so no one quote me on this. But in 2019, we had taken a trip to Maine, and I got to go to the Cryptozoology Museum, which at that time I was 9 years old. So I wanted to I wanted to be a cryptozoologist. Like that's what all of my papers were on in school. Like that's what I wanted to do. So I got there and I was like kind of skimming like what a 9-year-old does in a museum. You don't read the things, you just touch.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to get my hands on some stuff. So I was just kind of like browsing and I see this thing on like this tree. It's not an actual tree. It's like set up with the Bigfoot things. He was like, "Is Bigfoot an alien?" And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of odd." And so I get home, and like for whatever reason, that really stuck with me. So I get home and I start like looking it up, and a lot of people think, "Dad, I'm doing something."
Hmm.
I was like, it's like, God, I just lost my train of thought. They said that Bigfoot is like the aliens. You know how we have space suits that look kind of crazy to go to space?
Yep.
They
Yeah.
think that Bigfoot is like a an Earth suit for humans, for
Interesting.
aliens.
I think it could just be like their normal suit. That's what I mean. Like they
They
wear.
just look like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the theory though that they have like portals or whatever. I don't know. That
Yeah.
for some reason there's something about that that sticks with me. I don't really know how that even makes sense, but it just makes more sense than other things, I guess. I don't know.
So, fun fact about like not fun fact, I guess story on portals is a few years ago, I think 2023. Me and my mom had been invited to go on this investigation, but it was not like anything I've ever done. It was like a Bigfoot dogman hunt in these woods. And we were with our friend Christian and my mom's friend Jessica. And we get into like it's on a ranch kind of, like a farm. It's totally rural. Rural, don't listen to my pronunciation. And it was like in the middle of nowhere. And so we start looking around and we have like K2 meters and like just different kind of energetic measurements. And we get around this one tree that was called the witch's tree. And I don't remember the exact story based on it just because of how like dead set I was on getting to that tree for whatever reason. So I get over there with my friend and it starts spiking like crazy around this tree. And then we'll like put it behind us and it just goes dead again. It falls back. But then we put it near the tree and the needle goes up. And everyone was like, "Get Jada away from that tree. Like, she doesn't need to be over there," because I was like 12. And we do believe now, after looking back on footage and on what happened, we do think that that might have been a portal in the middle of the woods.
Hmm.
Interesting.
So I do like the portal theory.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to put all of that together. That's where I'm at. Like I think that could be a good theory, but I don't really know why. I just feel like it makes more
Oh, I
sense.
wasn't trying to make correlation, but I just
Yeah.
Yeah,
wanted
I
to.
just mean like,
Oh, okay.
like I don't really know how that makes sense, but it just seems like it makes more sense than other options.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that there's these giant beasts out in the woods that nobody's found. They gotta be hiding somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Especially like in Iowa and Minnesota and like all these places. I can understand like places that aren't really inhabited and are extremely hard to get to, but then you see sightings like in areas like this where it's like that doesn't make any sense. There's no way.
Well,
Like,
like one thing I've heard in correlation with Bigfoot and the paranormal is that there has been sightings in Indiana and like specifically around Indiana State Sanatorium. So
interesting.
like I've heard that like, with how open ISS is, that like not only are you dealing with spirits, but like, possibly Bigfoot getting into the sanatorium, and that's you're not just hearing the spirits, but like
You
you're
know, that kind of
hearing him wandering around.
to me that kind of feeds to like the alien theory though, because you hear a lot about like aliens be interested in like different like paranormal places. And so like I immediately think, okay, well, why would Bigfoot want to be around that area? You know what I mean? Like that's why I think of like the alien theory again, because they are interested in that. So
But
I
like the thing with Indiana State is there are so many ways to get into that building. There's like 40 plus ways to get in there.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like through windows, doors, the tunnels. So say, Bigfoot could easily, if
I
he's in
suppose,
that
but
area, could get in there. You don't
I
know.
just feel like an animal would normally like gravitate towards like an area in the middle of nowhere with nobody around because I hear Bigfoot doesn't really like people. So why?
But like the thing is with ISS, it's basically in the middle of nowhere.
True, but I mean like, in the woods somewhere, like more
But
of a natural habitat. But you're not,
but
I mean that's
like the thing
possible.
is though too, ISS is surrounded by woods,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to explain that.
right?
There's so many theories on it. Is there any other theories, Jada, that you came across?
Just a lot of them are kind of, you can tell that they're not very research based. They're more like, I feel like this could happen. And it was just like a lot of like every cryptid is the same one. It's just like mutating and stuff, which not very plausible at all.
No,
That
Right.
probably
that was a
not.
Reddit. That was on Reddit. So don't
I mean,
take that
they're
with a grain of
throwing
salt.
out
Yeah,
ideas,
for sure.
like actually that's an interesting theory for certain other cryptids that I can think of though that are very similar. But
Yeah.
that could just be like a misidentification kind of situation too, I feel like, where they just seem different, but they're actually the same thing.
Yeah. So while I was doing research for this one, this is what I did in math class because I love my math teacher, but I don't love math. So
Nobody loves math.
I have a couple books
I actually
and
kind of like math, but
they tell about different places. But I was wondering if you guys were familiar with the cryptids like central to your area.
kinda. I think
Really?
like I mean sorta. So I feel like Bigfoot is like a bigger one like in the Midwest area and like
Right.
the Midwest.
Yeah.
But I want to say there's a couple other ones. I know I cannot tell you what they are at the moment, but
Yeah,
I'm
neither can
familiar
I.
that there is other ones because I've heard of things in the past, but I just can't think of the names at the moment.
So what state are you from again?
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And I know you got a lot more down there over by the
So
Appalachians.
I'm in like the center of the Appalachian Mountains, and that's what I'm
Yeah,
gonna get
that is
to.
like the gold mine of all these cryptids, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
it's
gonna
the
get
gold mine
down there
family.
in just a minute. I actually have another book that I'm gonna grab that was my great grandpa's.
Yeah.
But hold on, let me. Y'all are coming with me. Jada's
Field
field
trip.
trip part
I
two.
like field trips.
Little
On
trips
the
are
ones that I host, y'all get to take field trips.
yeah.
Okay, so it's called American Folklore and Legend. It's by Reader's Digest. Wow, what a great source. But but it's really old. So I feel like this form of like writing is quite, it's not very commercialized and it's not very out there, it's what people wanted to hear. See, it says Kenneth Reed. That's my grandma's father, so my great grandpa. So this book is really old.
Yeah.
And some of it looks like this page is actually marked with a card, and it's the Red Menace. And this one talks a lot about like war and how they think that some of these tales actually sprung from things that men had been seeing in like war times because they didn't have proper anesthetics. A lot of them were walking around with like disease and infection, which really can mess with how you perceive the world. So, a lot of these things and tales that these men were like sharing with each other can be very easily influenced by the pain and by what they are going through. So right here it says brash and boyish deeds, heroes of all ages. Just talk. It starts off talking about the war, and then I know that you're not here for a synopsis of this book, but it just really. My grandma had the pages marked that talked about the war, but whenever you like look into it a little bit further, it kind of gives you the gist on how some tales came to be. And this used to scare the crap out of me. That's the back of the book.
Oh, interesting.
But this one's a lot of war stories. So if you guys want to know if you're really skeptical about cryptids, give maybe their origins a try and see how they really came to be.
I think isn't the Jersey Devil the one that's like super extremely documented and like a whole town saw it?
Yes, actually,
There's like
my
a whole
fifth grade
story on
teacher.
that.
Yeah, my fifth grade teacher grew up in New Jersey, and I swear she had an encounter with it. Whenever she told me this story, I was talking to her one afternoon, like we were all at the playground, and I just wanted to sit with her and talk because I
Yeah.
like talking. And I was like, "What was it like where you grew up?" And she was telling me, and she was on like this back road, and her boyfriend had this motorcycle, and like something had like flown out in the road that looked like a really big red-tailed hawk, is what she said. And I was like, that wasn't what that was. But probably wasn't. So whenever I look in this book at Minnesota, it's quite a short chapter, but you guys have stuff. Do you know what the Minnesota Iceman is?
I do
No?
not.
Interesting.
So this book is Chasing American Monsters by Jason Offit, whatever, if you guys want to find it. So it says, although whether in Minnesota Iceman is real or a hoax, it's still debated. The fact is that something frozen and ape-like existed and was carted around as a sideshow attraction throughout North America through the 1960s and 70s. Carnival show promoter Frank Hansen claimed this 6 foot tall human like creature was found in Siberia. The thing had an ape like face, a broken arm, and a bullet hole in the back of its head. Famed cryptozoologist Ivan T. Sanderson and Bernard something or another exclaimed the Iceman at Hansen's home in Minnesota. They were convinced it was a genuine biological specimen, complete with a rotting odor and spots where ice had been melted, according to Scientific American. An article on the Iceman appeared in a European scientific journal labeling a new species of Neanderthal, which had prompted Hansen to tout in traveling fairs and as the missing link, charging looky-loos 25 cents to gaze upon the creature.
Hmm.
Interesting.
So, where do you think the line is typically drawn between cryptid and new species?
I mean, like it's scientifically proven, but like I mean I don't know, like I've seen a lot of shows on this stuff because I'm interested in it, but
Yeah,
they discover new species all the time. Typically it's small things like, different insects and stuff every year because we've mostly discovered most of the animals and insects in the world, but like there's places that are kind of like uninhabited, like the middle of the rainforest and the middle of the Appalachians and the
yeah,
middle of Antarctica where they find things, every once in a while that we haven't discovered before. But I feel like, yeah, it's just like heavily scientifically studied, I guess. Like, so they try to. I mean, that's why cryptozoologists exist. And I believe that a couple of them were confirmed, like I've heard, like in the past, that were like originally cryptids, obviously lesser known, but they became real species. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, and that's kind of interesting. But I feel like we're kind of getting to like a point where they've discovered most things, but there's
yeah,
still some things
Right.
maybe out there, but it's few and far between compared to like in the 1800s, when this was kind of like all starting.
yeah. How close are you guys to Dawson?
I was just gonna say, I remember one. I don't know. Wisconsin's pretty close to Minnesota, but I know a pretty famous one in Minnesota, the Beast of Bly Road. Um, and that one's like been on Travel Channel. So I think it's a pretty heavily known one. It's basically like a werewolf creature that like stalks this like stretch of road in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, which I think is actually kind of close to Minnesota. I think it's just a few hours away. Um, but yeah, there's like a whole documentary there. They went there and investigated, and I feel like it could be just like a really, really large wolf
Hmm.
in the area, which is kind of what their theory was. But you know, you always have the potential for like a single species to like have mutations or like having bred with like an animal doesn't typically, you know, I mean, technically that is a new breed, but
Yeah.
you know, I think it's fascinating just on a separate note aside from that, when I watch these shows and they have, you know, they're like, "Oh, we captured this creature that we don't know what it is," and they do like a DNA sample and then the DNA comes back and they don't know what it is. That's fascinating because that's like pure science right there, you know, like
Yeah.
how do you explain that? Like you literally, the DNA proves that this is not any of these.
Yeah.
It's like a mixture of all of them, which is technically a new breed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that was this lady I think over in like Colorado that she had this like I don't even know what to call it because I don't think she had a name for it. I think she was um kind of treating it like what's the blood sucking one that count me out here? It
The
would like
blood
suck.
sucking one?
Yeah, the blood sucking cryptid. It
It's literally on my
on the
book.
tip
It's
of my
right
tongue.
here.
I can't think of the name of the cryptid, but she said it reminded her of that because it would like drink the blood of like or like chew her animals and then like almost suck the blood out of them. But I guess it was like a mixture of like a coyote and a wolf and like a bunch of different breeds in one because they literally killed it, had the body of it, and she even got it like mummified.
Hmm.
Like
That's crazy.
and has it in her house. And I was like, wow. And it doesn't look like anything I've ever seen. It
Hmm.
has like yellow eyes. It's crazy. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, they did DNA testing on it, and there's a whole thing about it. I thought it was just fascinating because I feel like that is truly like could be considered like a new breed, and it's almost like proof of a real cryptid because she captured it. And that's like what we need to do, you know? Like we need to get a Bigfoot, we need to get the Jersey Devil, and we need to prove it.
Do you know when the wolf was first documented?
Say that again.
Do you know when the wolf was first documented?
I don't know. I forget like the full backstory. I could look it up. But I want to say like the early 1900s or something because it was on
Oh,
someone's farm. Like
okay.
saw it in
Yeah.
their farm in the backyard or something like that, and then like it was like attacking their animals or something, and then it would
Mm,
jump out at people like driving down the road and stuff. Obviously, I don't believe it's a werewolf, but they say it looks like one, and I feel like that's because it's just huge. You know what I
Yeah.
yeah.
and that all that is consistent with like a real animal. I don't even feel like it's a cryptid. I feel it's just a really huge animal. And if it's still there, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't exactly know how long wolves live, but I feel like it's a one specific animal. I don't think it's like a whole breed like by itself. You know what I mean? I think it's just one abnormality, and that's kind of where I feel like cryptids sometimes lie. It's one single abnormality that
Yeah.
like a whole thing, you know? So,
So, moving on to cryptids that are definitely not an abnormality.
yeah.
The reason why I asked about Dawson is because do you guys know about the gnome people?
I have heard of that, yes.
Yeah. Same here.
And I've
Okay.
heard that they can be like in your house and invisible and paranormal and like very mischievous.
So basically, for the people watching who don't know what the
Yeah.
Dawson gnome people are, it's it it was created in 1987, and the people of Dawson decided that they were going to start making gnomes based off of just higher ranked people in their society, like the sheriff, different town council members, just like very staple people in their community. Well, these garden gnomes ended up becoming so unique and like tailored to the people that people began like becoming suspicious over the fact if these were actually shrunken people and some witch or warlock had taken in these people and shrunk them down to gnome size. So now in Dawson, it's become like a very high honor to be officially made into a gnome.
Interesting. I haven't
Interesting.
heard this side of it, but I've heard of
Yeah.
like paranormal gnomes where they're like in your house and stuff. So this is different.
Yeah. When I
Yeah.
read about that, I was kind
Yeah,
of
that's creepy. I wouldn't want that. Almost like, I guess, I don't know if they call them gnomes though. I think they call them like elves or something like that, but they're
probably.
mischievous paranormal creatures, basically.
Okay. Um,
You could say fairies. I think there's a lot of different words for that.
Oh, true.
fairies. Fae, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was a whole episode this lady was talking about how she was getting like basically terrorized by these things and she like would get her feet pulled out of bed and like things thrown around the house and then had a medium come over and told her that there was like these mischievous creatures like all around the bottom of her bed while she was sleeping and just looking at her and pulling on her feet. It's like,
Okay.
All right.
no, thank you. I'd rather take a demon, I feel like. Like all these like little gnome creatures. No thanks. I don't know, man. That's just terrifying to me. Like it's just interesting that there's other parts of the paranormal world, which could be considered cryptids, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah.
But we don't really fully understand. Like elementals is another good one. Like we don't really understand what those are, necessarily. But I don't know.
I'm trying to look because I know that where I'm from is absolutely crawling with tales. But what's some things that you guys have heard about the Appalachian Mountains that you might want to ask about? Because I know that here there's a lot of stuff that's being
Um,
said.
aliens and just
Aliens?
weird stuff. But aliens, yeah. I don't really know because like I've seen a lot of things in the Appalachians. Like I follow this girl who literally she just lives in the Appalachians. It's just a really small YouTube channel. She reminds me of you so much, which is weird. She tells like scary stories, and honestly, I just love listening to her videos because it's just like relaxing while I'm like
Yeah.
studying. So she tells other people's scary stories, but she lives in a house in the Appalachians and she has all sorts of weird stuff happen all the time. Sometimes in the middle of her videos when she's just reading these stories. Um, Also, most of them are about the Appalachians, but like just crazy things like mimics in her house. Like she'll hear somebody that sounds like her
Yes.
husband on the other side of the mimics is huge over there.
Mhm.
I mean, it's terrifying. She has multiple videos like of it recorded and it's just insane. I'm like, "Oh my God. No, thank you." I
Who is this
doors
person?
opening. Oh, I'll have to share you. Great YouTube channel. You'll have to
We
follow
need we
her.
need her on the show. It
Oh,
sounds
I would be
interesting.
cool. And she probably would. Yeah, I'll have to tell you. I found her on Facebook or something because I was like watching her video and I was like, "Oh, she has a YouTube and it's not like huge." And I was like, I got into her videos, especially the ones on the mimic stuff, because it's just insane how many videos she has of this mimicry going on and her cats reacting to it and just wild. But also like knocking sounds, like people knocking, there's knocking on their door. They
See,
go to the door,
that's
no
where
one's
I want
there. You're not supposed to acknowledge it. I mean, I'm aware of like all of these rules
the
that they have.
biggest rule out of everything here is
Yeah.
if you heard it, you didn't. If you see it, you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. And she can,
Acknowledging it is
oh,
the worst thing that you could possibly do because the mountains
yeah.
themselves are older than multicellular beings.
Right.
So,
Uh,
who knows what is tied to this land? And I mean, America is pretty much stolen land from the Native Americans,
mhm.
but that's actually tying into something that I want to get into a little bit later, which is the Moon-Eyed people of the Appalachian. But as far as just acknowledging things goes, it's there's so much here and there has been for such a long time. I think that people disregard the natural side of what you may be seeing as cryptic and taboo because with such an old biome, it is so easy for things to go wrong. It's so easy for things to mutate, you know?
Yeah.
Just it's everything is so there's so many misconceptions about what's actually going on here.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
some of it I would like to get into Wendigos as well a little bit later into this
I was literally
because
gonna say, I'm pretty sure her last video was on a Wendigo like experience, like somebody's experience with a Wendigo. That's crazy that you just said that. But I have
I have
heard
a ton of stories on this.
that would be like a good episode all by itself. Same with like just
Totally.
Appalachians in general. Good episode all by itself.
Right.
Yes.
We'll have to do that.
But like I was saying with the Wendigo, there are so many like documented tales of people going Wendigo, which is basically just hunger induced feral people pretty much. Have you guys seen the show Yellow Jackets?
I haven't, but
Not
is
yet.
that
I've
what that
heard of it.
show is about? I think of Supernatural.
Kind
I'm
of.
sorry. Their first
Yes.
Oh yeah.
episode ever is like about a Wendigo, and that is
In a
where
sense.
I
Yellow
need to
Jackets is like
look.
my favorite show, but it's just
Yeah.
people going crazy because
Oh,
of like Kuru and just hunger.
yeah.
So I wonder because the Appalachian Mountains are very notorious for their feral people, and I wonder some of these
Like
cryptids
Hills
that
Have Eyes
people.
kind of stuff.
Hmm?
Like
What was
Hills Have
that?
Eyes kind of.
Yes, kind of. I wonder how many of these cryptids that people have seen down here are actually just people who have been off the grid for so long.
Yeah, it's not impossible. But I just think that there's something I personally like I'm very interested in the Native American aspect, and I mean I took like a
Yes.
religion class in college and I learned a lot about the Native American religion, which was really
Mhm.
cool. And I feel like there's like a deep spiritual entity in that area
Oh,
that
yeah.
has a lot to do with Native. I just feel like there's some kind of spiritual entity that we don't understand that has to do with like the Native Americans in some way, like
Hmm.
some kind of elemental or some kind of like very
Elemental, yeah.
being that exists in that area, and that's just like because of the energy there. There is a lot of like electromagnetic energy in that area, and I think that has a lot to do with it. It's just a very like high energy area in general that comes from the land because of the mineral content and all of that from the
Yeah.
mountain stuff. So I think that plays a role, but I do think aliens are attracted to that, and as I said before, they seem to be attracted to those areas with that high level of energy from the earth, like if you think of like the supernatural mountains like out west, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And then like other paranormal events, they all seem to be like are related. Like aliens like kind of seek it out. I don't know if they get some kind of energy out of it or they're interested in it, just like we are. I don't know. But I feel like they're really associated with those high paranormal areas. So that's kind of why I feel like that they're hanging out over there or maybe seeing. But I don't understand like some of the things that I've like the mimics and that stuff I don't understand. Like it's just very interesting. It'd be cool to do like we should rent a cabin out in the middle of the Appalachians and stay there and see what happens because I've seen several videos of people doing that and it's actually crazy.
Well, it's like I don't know if I've mentioned it to either of you, but like when we were out in West Virginia last June when we were leaving Old Hospital on our way to Ohio, it's like out in the middle of nowhere, 8:30 in the morning, coming around a bend, here's this guy leaning up against a guardrail,
Oh
smoking a
yeah.
cigarette and drinking a beer. It's like, where did he come from? There's like
Yeah.
no
That's
side
everywhere.
Abducted by
roads.
aliens and dropped off because he was drunk and didn't know what was going
There was
on.
like no side roads, like five
Yeah,
miles in either direction. All this guy had on was a pair of shorts.
that's so crazy.
It's just
Right.
like, okay.
I don't
See,
know.
my favorite thing in the entire world, I am a huge fan of Saturday Night Live, and I always just die laughing whenever they make any correlation to like aliens and abductions because it's always like the Hicks out in the country getting abducted. Kate McKinnon does like
It is.
the most far-fetched things. And I just think it's so funny the way that they perceive what happens in alien abductions.
I mean, because it's like I don't know. It's in popular culture. That's why. There's
Yeah.
real alien abductions, and then there's like the popular culture version, which tends
Yeah.
to be more on the humorous and exaggerated side. I
Hmm.
don't know if E.T., that whole movie probably plays a role in
Oh,
that a little bit.
yeah, definitely. How do you guys feel about like crop circles and the legitimacy of those?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think maybe a few are real, but I think most of them are hoaxed. I that's my
Yeah, same
personal
here.
opinion. But I think some of them are real, yeah.
I think that like you said, E.T. with the aliens. I think that what signals that
That
is
movie
that
is
one?
freaky. That movie is terrifying, and I will tell you, the only thing that can scare me is aliens. I don't know why, but any
Really?
alien movie like that is creepy. I could watch the scariest horror movie and it doesn't creep me out, and I'll be like, I told you that was gonna happen. But if I watch a movie like Signs, I'm just like on edge the whole time. It's
Signs.
terrifying.
That's
I
what it
know
was, not
it's
signals.
real. It's like real life to me, and I'm like, oh my
See,
God,
I
have
can't do
this
movies
would
like
happen.
Hostel for that reason.
I can't. I hate alien movies. They're so terrifying.
Well, it's like the
Like
last
they're really good.
podcast I did was my guest was Kay Golden, and she's been abducted by aliens multiple times. And she was like telling me about the first time she was ever abducted, and I'm like picturing this happening in my head as she's saying it. It was just like it's like what she was saying I could picture. It was crazy.
I have to go back and watch this.
There's also like I know I don't know if you've seen this, Matt, but there's that documentary on I think it's on Amazon. It's like a I don't know, like a hunting cabin or something in the middle of nowhere. I think it's over like by where Jada is. Um, and it's like haunted, but like also like there's like extreme alien activity there, and it's insane. Some of the stuff that they get in this video, like or this documentary, like they
Near
have
me?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can't remember. I'll have to look it up after, but God, it would be so cool to go there. But it's like a hunting cabin that people like was used literally just for like staying at while
Hmm.
they were hunting. I think like hogs and stuff. And they'd stay there and they get like this crazy alien activity, like weird dreams and like feeling like someone was in the room with them and like they have this part of the documentary where all the doors blast open at the same time and it's just insane. And then the medium's like, "Oh my God, they're coming in," and she's like, "I'm like, oh my God, is this real? This is insane." I'm like freaking out, and it's like a documentary. This is not a movie. Like this is like real life, like a real paranormal investigation. It's just like next level. These people have also done. I'm sure you're familiar with the documentary Sleepless Nights.
Yep.
That's on The Conjuring. It's the same people that did this documentary. Okay, like same exact group of people. So you should watch that, but it's really good. But yeah, that would be something. But like again, it goes back to like the aliens following the paranormal activity because this place is super haunted. But then there's like alien activity around it. So I don't know like why that seems to happen like that, even though it's like not like the most haunted place ever. But I don't know. That's the only thing that kind of links um, Bigfoot to me, like we were talking about before with aliens, is that same concept because it kind of make when you were talking about that they're kind of around that area, it makes me think, well, maybe. I mean, I don't
Right.
know. Or they're just a paranormal being and that's why they're like wanting to go towards the paranormal energy because it gives them energy. I don't know. The whole thing is very fascinating. But I think God, I was gonna say earlier, I think there's like other cryptids in Minnesota too, and like histories of people being abducted even in Minnesota and Wisconsin, like way more than you would think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, which is not like commonly talked about, but it's like, wow, how
Well, then it's
like
like
you don't
too
think
like
of Minnesota or Wisconsin initially when you think of like being abducted, but there's actually a lot of cases that I've heard of, which is just insane to me because
but like for
yeah,
cryptids here in Minnesota, you think about it, like northern Minnesota is so sparsely populated. Who knows what's
that's
out there
true.
in those
Never
woods?
mind, it's like Canada. Yeah, totally. That's very true. I think that's probably where some of these things do happen, but I mean, you hear people seeing UFOs in their backyard in Maple Grove, so I have no idea, you know.
Oh, I've seen some strange stuff up here.
It's interesting. I mean, we do see the Northern Lights, which I think is a heavy source of electromagnetic energy when it does happen, because it's like a basically an energy storm um, in space. And if you're able to see the lights there, they say there's more like energy and it can change your mood and stuff. So I would assume that if there's paranormal things that they would be more likely to come out during that time when there's more energy in the air and all of that to manifest.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, that could be partly why the northern areas seem to have it. Just kind of like the Appalachians have that energy source from the mountains, and we have that energy source from like, that the space energy that we get because we're more north. So I don't know. It's interesting like how certain regions are like more prone to it, especially like out west. That's a high one, with we could get into skinwalkers and that's a whole thing. But
Hmm.
that's a whole nother cryptid. But yeah, I don't know.
I'd love to get somebody on the podcast from the Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, that would be fun.
My friends live by there.
Really?
hmm
That's
we
cool.
might get to go see them, but all right. So before we get started, before I ask you guys my next question, I want to reach a goal by some point of like kind of having everything for every audience. Like I want anybody to be able to watch what we do and be like, oh, that's interesting. So by doing this, I like asking my friends or my family who's not as into the paranormal. See, I was sitting at my desk going through stuff, writing things like 2 nights ago. And my cousin was just sitting playing on her phone. And I was like, hey, Liv, will you look through these books and then write down stuff that you find like entertaining or that captures your attention just based off of someone who doesn't know much about it? So she had written down 3 things. So the first one that she had written down was a cryptid called a pukwudgie. And the only thing she put was that it's 2 to 4 feet tall.
Yep.
Yep, that's common in the Appalachians as well, I think.
Yeah. And then the next thing that she had written down, which I just read while you guys were talking, and I thought that it was quite amusing. So apparently, Massachusetts has its own Bermuda Triangle
I've
in the
heard that.
southeast and west of Cape Cod. The triangle encompasses Hockomock Swamp. Did I say that right? Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
I
It's like
I
part of the
don't know
state
if you said it
forest out
right,
there,
but
Okay.
right
That
next. It's pretty
swamp,
close to Gettysburg, I believe, actually. That whole area inbreeds into Pennsylvania, doesn't it? A little bit.
yeah, it's like within that swamp. And then she also says that Freetown ghosts haunt the roads and marshes around that area, and UFOs have been like reported to have been seen above the location. So it's kind of a Bermuda Triangle.
It,
hmm.
Well, now that I think about it, it could be a portal if there's so much activity around it.
I believe it's called the Bridgewater Triangle.
Bridgewater Triangle. Okay, that gives me more stuff to
And
look
it
up.
also goes into the Appalachians, so there's that again.
So I can't remember who it was previously had on. I can't remember if it was Alicia from Which Way the Paranormal. She lives out in the Boston area, and we've talked about this before. I'm pretty sure it was with her. I'll have to like look back, but she's going to be on the podcast again. I want to say on the 10th.
Yeah, I actually have a coworker that is fascinated with all of things alien, and he has like been pushing to get us to go to the Bridgewater Triangle and go investigate. But he's pretty knowledgeable about it actually. Yeah, I would say the what's it called? It's like Skinwalker Ranch, Beyond the Ranch. They have a really cool episode on the Bridgewater Triangle, which is pretty cool. And it's all scientific based. So if you want some like real scientific basis for why you should believe in this stuff, watch that episode because it's very compelling. I mean, there's mathematical information and like all the things, and they prove some interesting things on that episode. So
Yeah.
I um I really enjoy that show. If you're looking for like something on aliens and stuff, that's a cool one. But yeah, I don't know. That whole area is just something I would love to investigate there more. And there seems to be a lot more haunted locations in that area too. And I know that has a lot to do with like the age of the area compared to like over here in Minnesota, but still like, it's just very condensed in that area. It just
Yeah.
makes there's something about that area and there definitely is, but yeah.
Or hold on, I'm going to look something
Well,
real quick. I
Jada,
can't.
tell us more about pudge wedgie or pug wedgies. I can't ever say that.
Lord, let me look it up.
I feel
I
like
don't know.
that's a super common one though that a lot of people have heard of,
Yeah.
but don't know a lot about. So,
Well, we've talked.
Oh
They've been
my
brought up
God.
on the podcast a few
have we? Okay.
times.
Yeah, that's a pretty.
Really? And you said it was in North Carolina?
think they can be like mischievous and stuff, right? Like,
That sounds right.
but not
So
necessarily
Another
negative. They're just like kind of,
another place I would want to go to and investigate, but Natalie doesn't agree. The Pine Barrens.
oh yeah, 100%. Yep. Yep, I agree. I want to get into the cryptid side a little bit more, and I like I've told you, I really want to do more outdoor locations with more like Native American history. And
Yeah,
I mean, that stuff just gets really creepy and really intense, and I love it. It's like something different, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And there's something so eerie about outdoor locations. There's not like the safety of like four walls. You're like
yeah.
out in the elements, and it doesn't matter if it's beautiful outside. It's just there's something about it that is just kind of terrifying. I don't know. But I've gotten some interesting activity in my one ever investigation being outside, like in an outdoor location. So I'm like waiting to do it again.
All right, I got your stuff on the Pukwudgie. Its introduction says the porcupine people of the Bridgewater Triangle. So it's circling back to this.
Yeah.
So Massachusetts has its own version of the Bermuda Triangle. Once again, this has already been said by Libby. Hold on. Pukwudgie is also spelled, and then it gives spelling check. Range in height from 2 to 4 feet, with oversized human facial features and a thick bush of quills or bristles sprouting from their backs and heads. From behind, they look like porcupines standing on their back legs. Pukwudgies are often depicted as wearing simple clothing and carrying small bows notched with poison-tipped arrows. Some stories go as far to imbue them with magical abilities. They turn invisible or shapeshift, control fire, and cloud people's minds. Pukwudgies have been translated variously from different Native American languages as person of the forest, little wind man of the forest, little people, and little people who disappear. These creatures are humanoid and intelligent. Like the people of Hawaii and gnomes of Minnesota, and various aliens invading this book. Stories of Pukwudgies can be found throughout the Great Lakes in New England and Massachusetts. These cryptid beings originate from the Wampanoag lore, which describes the creatures as being mostly minor nuisances until people attempted to either expel or exterminate them by enlisting the help of the Moship, the giant who created Cape Cod. In a the attempt failed, and the Pukwudgies became angry and malevolent. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who lived in Massachusetts, included Pukwudgies in his 1855 epic poem, The Song of Hitwana, which the centuries tried to kill Kwasand, one of the Hiawatha's friends. These days, the creatures are essentially viewed as gremlins, and they are responsible for everything from minor mischief to murder. One of their most notorious practices is to cause brain fog in their victims and lure them to their deaths over cliffs. Ascent Ledge in Freetown is often pointed to as a favorite murder spot for the Pukwudgies, although the deaths are classified as suicides or accidents because the coroner doesn't have a Pukwudgie trick box on their autopsy form. In 2017, local police in Freetown affixed Pukwudgie exiting signs near the entrance of Freetown State Forest on Slab Bridge Road. It was an attempt to get motorists to slow down because of the number of animal collisions the road was rising. The police believed that yet another ambiguous deer crossing signs would not generate so much as a tap on the brakes, but that people would definitely slow down for a double take when they saw evil looking spiky backed creatures on the diamond shaped sign. It was temporarily a gesture, one timed with April Fool's Day. Funny for our day today.
hmm
Yeah, that is weird.
But the idea of permanent Pukwudgie signs installed throughout the area, in addition to being a helpful safety measure, could also be a nice little tourism lift for the area. The signs could also serve as a warning, and not just for motorists, because if you ever find yourself in the Bridgewater Triangle, in between hiding from abducting aliens and dodging ghostly hitchhikers, you should be especially wary of any porcupines you see, and stay far away from the cliffs.
Yeah, I've heard that before that they like can lead you to do like dangerous
Yep.
activities. Kind of like with distraction.
Mhm.
Like, you know, oh, they'll knock over here and then you'll find yourself on like super like in like an old abandoned house and you're walking around and exploring and you hear like knocking and you're like, oh, I gotta investigate that. And you walk that way and you find yourself like on an uneven floor and you fall through the floor or something like that. Like I've heard that before that they just kind of like mischievous. They like enjoy like people like getting injured.
Yep.
I think it's funny. So I don't know. Yeah. Or like taking things from you, like shiny objects and hiding them and like weird
Yeah.
places. And I've heard all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
So, as we progress into this podcast, I just wanted to ask you guys what your favorite cryptids were.
Mm.
Well, I would either have to say Bigfoot or the Mothman.
Yeah, actually, I feel like mine are like the same.
Really?
Trying to think, yeah, because I feel like Bigfoot just has so much evidence,
Right.
so much like I don't know, like history to it that I just feel like it's real. I like it's top for like if I feel like it's like real, 100%.
And
And
it's
then the
not just
Mothman,
like,
same
and,
thing, definitely. Jersey Devil probably number three. They're
and
all
for
very
like,
highly documented.
and for like Bigfoot, he's like not contained to one
Yeah.
area. It's like everywhere.
And that,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
there's
think
so
of
many
like
variations.
the
Yep.
Yeti is another example. It's also like a Bigfoot. You hear of what's the
Skunk ape.
skunk ape? I mean, it's like the same thing but different place.
That's genuinely crazy because right whenever
Yeah.
you said that, I saw the page for it on here.
I was trying to think of that earlier and I was like, there's another word, but the Yeti is kind of like another very heavily known. I mean, there's even a Goosebumps book about the Yeti. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
There's a
why
Mount Everest ride based on it.
yeah, I mean, it's extremely known in popular culture, and I feel like that really, I don't know, like puts some back to it because it's like people have been talking about this for hundreds of years. Like this didn't
Well,
just
it's like
come out of
kind of
nowhere.
funny too for like kids' toys. Like, my girls, we used to collect Squishmallows. And I think between the one Bigfoot I have and Natalie, we probably have like 15 different
With a
Bigfoot Squishmallows.
Bigfoot? What? They have those?
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
got
God,
one.
I gotta get one.
There's one, like, you can't see it because the light's off, but like
Awesome.
behind Kelly and Jesse back there, there's a Bigfoot. And then,
I'll need to.
last week we were at the Mall of America and we were at a toy store and I got a Mothman stuffy. It's like
I have
they're
seen those.
it's
Yeah.
like they're everywhere.
And I just think the story of the Mothman is like so interesting. And then like they're oh that comes back to Minnesota actually. I'm sure you're familiar with this, Matt. With there's people that say that the Mothman was sighted before the bridge crisis in Minnesota when the bridge went out. There's like lots of people that swear to God they saw the Mothman there before that happened. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Yeah, I haven't like watched any like, interviews or anything on it, but I've heard that people like in articles that people are saying like they swear that they saw like a Mothman creature like in that area and it's like that kind of like ominous sign when you see the Mothman. I think that whole part of that is really interesting.
It is.
It I don't know, it has like this Grim Reaper kind of like
Right.
effect. And I'm like, okay, this could be like a totally different spiritual being that we're not even like aware of like what the full context of this is. This is like unlike other cryptids, which I feel like why the Mothman is so different.
Hmm.
Doesn't necessarily like target people as much as it's just like known to be around like ominous like national disasters and stuff, like
Right.
it does. There's histories of people like having it like grab their dog and stuff, but like, you know what I mean? It's just more commonly associated with that and not just like killing chickens and stuff.
Hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
that's cool about the Mothman. It's like a deeper meaning to the that cryptid.
So my favorite teacher, we aren't supposed to have favorites, but my favorite teacher, she grew up in West Virginia. And I would honestly love to have her on here one night because she knows so much about it. But the one time I have been to Point Pleasant for the sole intent of Mothman intake. I wanted to learn more about Mothman. The only thing that I didn't really leave with any new information. I only learned more about the men in black, but what we did live with is an oppression. And so we had gotten there and we were just going to be very spontaneous and we didn't want to book a room. We just wanted to let like the room find us. So we arrive, we start looking at the statue, and directly across the road from the statue is the Low Hotel, which is supposed to be like the most haunted hotel down there. And the people who work there, great people. I love them. But we got there and we were like, "Hey, what rooms do you guys have?" And they were like, "We have two." And then one of them that she mentioned, which I had been researching this hotel on the way over, is the most haunted hotel room inside of that hotel. So we were like, obviously we're going to take that one.
Yeah.
So we get in and there were paintings all over the walls. One of them was actually like a funeral painting with an obituary tied into it. And my dad just lays down on the bed and starts looking at the paintings. And we went and got dinner and he was like, "I don't feel good." He started getting really nervous, and so we had to go back to the room. And all he wanted to do was look at those paintings. And downstairs, they were about to open an art gallery. And they had asked me and my mom and my dad if we wanted to be like the first people to go through and look at it. So obviously, I was like, yeah, I would love to. So we were getting ready to go down. And my dad was like, "I don't feel good. I'm staying up here." But he had the covers pulled up to his chin. Like he was really shaken. And he just kept staring at that like painting. We came back, the TV was off, the lights were really dim. He was just looking at the painting. And he just started getting really nervous, and all he wanted to do the entire time we were down there was look at the paintings. So it gets about 2 days down the road, and me and my mom finally come to the conclusion that he does not need to be in that hotel. Everything's going bad, like we just need to get out. So we check into a different hotel about an hour out from West Virginia for just another night. We're going to stay in the city, go to the mall and eat, and then go home. We check into the hotel, and he walks back out to the car to help bring our stuff up, and he goes, "I'm glad we're out of that room with those creepy ass paintings." And my mom had a rattlesnake protection talisman. It was glass. And we had been up tons of mountains. We've been mountain climbing for like a week, 2 weeks prior to our trip. So it was nothing that could have caused this but pure energetic force. The talisman busts
Hmm.
all over the car.
Oh,
It's
oh,
glass.
that reminds me of the time that happened in my house.
Ooh. But we still have it. But he was not the same for about 3 months after that.
Yeah, dude, I had a keychain that I had from high school that was hanging on my bulletin board for like, kid you not, 10 plus years, just hanging there. Nothing changed. On fishing wire, okay? Fishing wire. You know how strong that is. Okay. I'm in the other room, hear this explosion of beads, like just like you could hear the boof sound. And I heard all the beads, and I go in the other room. The beads are all over the floor, and the like tie, okay, they didn't just fall off. It was ripped into like three, four pieces. Okay, and it's
Crazy.
fishing wire. Like I think that's the key. It looked like somebody cut it in four pieces.
Wow.
Absolutely terrifying. Most terrifying thing that's probably ever happened to me. It was just, I was like, I don't know how to explain that. It's literally been there for like 10 years on my clipboard. Like it didn't just fall off. That would maybe be possible, but like the wire was like ripped up.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
what it reminds me of, and it's like still creepy to me to think about it. But yeah, I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, that house was something else.
All right, if we're all good, can I get into my little short thing that I have for Wendigos before we kind
Yep,
of close out?
yep,
For
sure.
sure.
So, this is what I've been really working on, and I'm really excited to share this. So, basically, over the years, the Wendigo has split into three different sectors, like three different types, from just depending on location. Kind of how Bigfoot split, that's what a Wendigo has done. And it has been the dictionary, like the Native American dictionary, has kind of said that its translation is winter cannibal monster. That's what it means. And so I have a little quote which says human, but I can't read my handwriting. It's like humans humanoid, but their face has been like frostbitten off pretty much. And I've heard that either like their lips have been removed due to frostbite, but I also have heard other stories over the fact that they got so hungry they chewed their own lips off.
Ooh.
So take that how you'd like to. And then here it says other adaptations, what I just said. So a Wendigo, some people speculate, if it's not an actual cryptid, it was meant to be the personification of hunger, just the pain caused by hunger. So what I'd like to get into is the first story that I have written down, which takes place on December of 1897, which is actually in Minnesota. And a Native American lady had been like at her house, and she just kept she had a fever. I believe that it was yellow fever or typhoid. It was typhoid, I believe. And obviously, when you're not feeling good, you're not feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
And she was going crazy, and her husband just was not giving her the proper care that she needed. Like, she needed a doctor, she needed medicine, she needed treatment for typhoid fever, and he just wasn't getting it for her. So she started showing symptoms of her going kind of crazy in hopes to get treatment for herself. Well, he thought that she was going Wendigo, so he ended up there's only two ways that you can really kill a Wendigo, which is either like getting it through the heart, like killing it that way, or pouring hot bear fat down its throat. So he didn't do either of those. So he pulled her by her hair and snapped her neck.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
That man was later put on trial and arrested for murder.
Wow.
And nothing
Crazy.
came from it. So he literally killed his wife because he thought she had gone Wendigo. But the other story that I had written down that I was really excited to tell to you guys surrounds a man named Swift Runner. And this happened in Alberta, Canada, I believe. And he was really liked around his town. Very, very well known guy. And he always went on like camping trips with his family. There was 9 people in his family. So it was him, his wife, his mother, and then his kids. So he took them camping, and upon his arrival, all of his family was gone. So like these are like longer camping trips that he would take, like mostly throughout the like 3 months of winter. So he returns, no family. Nobody questioned it for like a little bit, but then they were like, "Where's your family? Like we haven't seen them out." And he was like, "Oh, they all died when we went camping." And they were like, "What?"
Hmm.
So he was like, "Yeah, like starvation."
Oh my God.
This man looked quite well fed, like he wasn't showing any signs that he had been starving. So everyone started kind of speculating. They put him on trial, and once he got on trial, he admitted to eating them.
Ooh.
But that was only after they had found the evidence that there was like gnawed at bones, like human teeth marks and stuff on them, which not a great sign if you're trying to get away with cannibalistic murder. And then he goes, and then one of the guy who wrote the book that I was reading this from, he said it was a harsh winter, but not an eat your family harsh winter. And while Swift Runner was on trial, he reported, or like he like testified to the fact that he ate his son last because he wanted to save his kids. So he went like oldest to youngest, and he ate his son last because he didn't want any witnesses to the murder. So he was gonna
Hmm.
let his son live, but he didn't want any witnesses, which is kind of cool. Not cool, interesting, because Wendigos are known for eating children. So after that had happened, he was hung December of 1879 at Fort Saskatchewan, and it's also known there for its proximity to chemical plants, which is kind of not good looking at
Yeah.
it from afar, because that, if that's where he was from, that could have also had something to do with it. But every October in, well, I guess I could go with this one first. Wendigo psychosis was marketed as an actual term in the early 20th century, which is where people kind of turn feral whenever they are really hungry, you know?
Yes.
And so I
It was
really
highly
thought,
associated with rabies in humans back in
yes,
the day.
yes, and Kuru, which I learned very recently. And I just think that that's highly fascinating because it's an actual thing. This has been proven that this isn't just a cryptid, it's something that can happen to a human. And it just ties everything together, circle of life. But in every October, man, this is what my handwriting looks like, so I can't read what I write half the time. But there's a town that does a Wendigo festival, which we have a Bigfoot festival, but I think that it's kind of crazy to have a festival based on cannibalism, pretty much. But don't read too far into stuff. Um, it was there is also a place known as Lake Wendigo that essentially is a lake within a lake, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Heard of that.
And like the reason why it's called Wendigo Lake is it's rumored that Wendigo lives within it. So that's what I
Okay.
had on Wendigos.
Yeah.
I
Very
also had
interesting.
Yeah, I also had some stuff on the Moon-Eyed people, but I feel like that could be saved for a later date, so
Oh, for
I'll hold
sure.
on to that. Well, do any of you guys have any kind of closing things that you want to talk about?
Not really, but just kind of going through like the Cryptid podcast. This is obviously the first in what we could basically call a series.
Hmm.
Like next Wednesday, we have Barnaby Jones joining. It'll be him returning to the podcast. He was a guest, God, like probably episode 10 or 20, like way at the beginning. But he's from Wisconsin, so he'll have a lot of, stories and stuff to talk about in this area. Not only does he do paranormal, but, big on Bigfoot and
Hmm.
cryptids. Couple other guests. We got Brian Fuller and FK Sterling for sure. And then working on some others, hopefully having like, 4, 5, 6 different guests that are like big into cryptids.
Well, I gave you an example, and I think Morgan would definitely probably join us because she's like a smaller creator, but she's not a YouTuber.
And I did reach out. This was, God, last summer, I think. I had reached out to Maria Mayer,
Okay.
and we were talking about getting on the podcast, and it kind of just didn't end up happening. But I shot her an email again, seeing if she'd come on. So she'd be a bigger, high profile guest, but hopefully, you never know.
Yeah, I think like I keep talking about this, but I think that would be really cool to have her on because she's had so many. Like if we had like an Appalachia's episode, that would be the perfect person to have because she's lives there and literally has so many videos on it.
Yep,
Tell us stories
definitely,
on stories for sure, crazy things.
definitely will reach out.
Okay.
But if you guys can think of anybody else,
I might
big,
have another person that has a similar kind of setup as Morgan's, but not as focused, but she's got some similar videos as well. That I
okay.
can't think of her name, but I gotta look. She's like a relatively haunted house kind of by the Appalachians, I believe. So there's a couple different people I was fascinated in, and I was looking up their videos and kind of got obsessed with the topic for a while.
All
So
right.
yeah, yeah, got some options.
And we'll let
Perfect.
we'll let Jada lead all those podcasts.
I'd
She's
love to
gonna,
hear more stories of the Appalachians. I think the whole thing is fascinating.
I
So
need to look more into it, honestly,
yeah,
but
the whole mimic thing is just crazy for me.
yeah.
this gave me tons of things to look at, things to research, so
Yeah, now you'll find some stuff on that. There's a lot of things about mimics. Yeah.
perfect.
Mhm.
All right. We think that's all?
Yeah,
I
I think
think
that
that's
goes
all.
back. Yeah,
Right. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this topic with me, and I hope that we
Yes.
can get back together and talk some more. I really enjoy
yeah.
talking with you guys.
Oh, for sure.
So
Well, definitely have to do some more paranormal
I
cryptid
love
talk
the Cryptids
podcasts.
100%.
Paranormal podcast. Yes, it's awesome.
And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your evening. And if you guys have more topics that you want to talk about or have more that you want to do, just
Yeah, let the
put it
guests
out there.
pick if they can
Yes, for
add any
sure.
comments about what they think. That'd be
Yep,
cool.
I definitely have some other ideas I'll throw out there
Okay.
down the line here. And all
Yeah.
right. Well, you two have a great night.
You too.
All
Good
right.
night.
Bye.